Police Chief Azevedo, those are very strong words, and particularly you are a Cuban immigrant. You came when you were 4 years old to the United States, and you are the police chief, the first such in the city of Houston. So I want to ask you lastly, there have been reforms planned, made. For instance, in Minneapolis, the police force did implement training on implicit bias, on mindfulness, de-escalation, crisis intervention. It did diversify the department's leadership. It did create tighter use of force standards. It adopted body cameras. In other words, it did all this stuff, but it did not work. Chief Azevedo, what is it going to take? How much reform? How many of these, playbooks? What is it going to take?
Listen, Christiane, that's a great question. And here's my response from my heart. What we're seeing is not just about the death of George Floyd. What we're seeing is a response to not just police brutality. What we're seeing is a response to disproportionality of wealth and everything else in this country. Let's not kid ourselves. Unfortunately, when good policing happens, which happens every day in our country, it doesn't make the news. Tens of millions of contacts every year in very dynamic situations. It doesn't make the news. We're the most visible cog of government, and when we get it wrong, there's no excuse. We can't excuse it. We have to accept it. But don't kid yourself into believing that the rage is just because of what happens with police. It's about society from pre-K education all the way up. So please, let's just keep moving the ball. I promise you that the police chiefs are willing to lead. We need police labor union leaders. It's time for them to either step up and be part of the solution, or we're just going to have to get elected officials to be doing what they need to do, which is to do everything we can to weed out bad cops so we can lift up the very vast majority that are honorable professionals and really deserve our support.
Well, Chief Azevedo, we thank you, and we thank you for leading by example. Thank you for joining us.